kid. No brainer. The human brain is supposed to be this amazing supercomputer that's capable of all sorts of incredible stuff. But if that's true, then I don't know why my brain is always making me do stupid things. Youch! It's actually a little annoying because if you think of it, your brain's one job is to be smart. I guess it's my own fault for filling my brain with things that are not important, like video game cheat codes and theme songs to old TV shows. Because now there's no room for stuff that actually matters. The problem with a brain is that there's only a limited amount of room in there. Eventually, you run out of storage. And the reason it's hard for old people to learn new things is because their brains are just full. It's called social media. And if you want to like something, you just press this little heart. Rah! One of these days, they're gonna figure out a way to add more memory. And when they do, I'm gonna buy myself the biggest booster pack I can afford. In the meantime, I'm trying to be real choosy about what I put in my brain. So when someone's telling me something I don't need to know, I just try and block it out. So then, Miss O'Malley says she wasn't the one who called me a liar. So I asked her why she was talking to Mrs. Ferguson behind my back. La la la, I can't hear you. When you're a kid, the only thing you use your brain for the most is school. And a lot of your brain power goes to memorizing useless stuff, like the names of vice presidents and word to preschool songs. One thing that's really inconvenient is that your brain is inside your head, so you have to take it everywhere you go. But if they ever find out a way to deal with that issue, then school is going to be a whole different thing. I think it would be great if your brain could be at school learning while you're off doing things you actually enjoy, like playing laser tag with your friends or hanging out at the arcade. Then you could pick up your brain at the end of the day and get all caught up. For now, I guess we're stuck with the current situation where your body and brain need to be in the same place. And if you're a kid, that means you're gonna have to spend a big chunk of your time at school. My problem with that is how long the school day is. You're there for 7 hours, but you probably only spend 20 minutes a day on actual learning. And that's because most of your time is spent on stuff that doesn't have to do with education. Today in 5th period, we spent zero time learning about history because a bee got loose in the classroom, and that pretty much killed the chance of anything productive happening. I wish everyone would stop fooling around and just get down to business once school starts. Because that way we we could get the learning part over with and be out of there before lunchtime. But I think they like to stretch things out and keep you there for as long as possible. The whole the whole reason school was invented in the first place is because back in olden times, kids were causing too many problems at home while their parents were at work. So they created this whole system with textbooks, lockers, and algebra and physical education just to keep kids out of trouble for a few hours every day. You're in school from the time you're 4 until you're at least 18. And after you're done with education, you have to get a job and work until you reach old age. So by the time you're through with all of that, you're too tired to do anything fun. If they really wanted to, they could probably teach you everything need you actually need to know. But by the time you're 4 or 6, I but by the time you're 5 or 6, but I guess parents don't want to have to compete with their kids for good paying jobs. So they teach you a little bit at a time so you don't get too smart too quick. And sometimes they teach you stuff you can't even use. That's what's been happening at my school lately. I just took 3 months of Latin with a teacher named Mr. Layton, and it was my favorite class. But it turns out he didn't know Latin at all, and he was teaching us nonsense the whole time. When the school found out Mr. Layton was a fraud, they fired him. So now all I've got to show for the last 3 months of my life is knowing how to order a hamburger in a language that doesn't even exist. Mr. Layton isn't the only one teaching us stuff that we can't really use. My my social studies teacher is Mrs. Lasky, and this is her last year. So the only countries she teaches us about are the ones she's planning on visiting with her husband after she retires. In our last homework assignment, she had us research which cruise ships have the best meal plans. Some of our teachers don't even bother trying to teach us anything at all. Miss Pritchard is supposed to be teaching us geometry, but she uses her new smartboard for stuff like helping her to pick out which breed of puppy to get. A few of the teachers are doing their best, but us kids don't always make it easy for them. Mr. Rask tried teaching science the regular way for half the year, but nobody seemed interested. So he switched up to teaching about rope stuff. And even though it makes science a lot more interesting, I don't think any of the information that we're learning right now is going to help us get into a good college later on. I wish I didn't know half the stuff I learned in Mr. Rask's class, because ever since we watched a video about the microscopic parasites living on our skin, I can't stop itching. We don't even have an algebra teacher anymore. Miss Quinn went on maternity leave back in October, and they never found a long-term sub to fill in for her. So during fourth period, they just stick us in a computer lab and have us go on this math game website, which is sponsored by a candy company. How many Gobsmashers math? How many more fruity, medley Gobsmashers can fit in Billy's mouth before he busts? A. 34. B. 37. C. 43. D. 54. Now everyone in my grade needs candy to do math. And when we took a standardized test last month, a bunch of kids brought packs of jelly beans and bubble gum to help them count. I would have probably done a lot better on the test if I wasn't sitting behind a kid who went through an entire jar of Gobsmashers brunch. But it wasn't the math section that was hard though. It wasn't just the math section that was hard though. The reading section had a bunch of essays, and the science section had had questions about stuff we didn't cover in class. And there wasn't a single question about farts or burps. So when our school test results came back, it wasn't a surprise that our school was the lowest in the state. In fact, our scores were so bad we made the news. A lot of parents were pretty upset, including mine. And I guess the superintendent was under pressure to make big changes because he fired our principal, Miss Nancy, and asked the old principal, Mr. Bottoms, to come out of retirement. I'm actually surprised that Mr. Bottoms agreed to come back because the way my older brother Roderick described it, when Mr. Bottoms retired a few years ago, he went out with a bang. But I'm rooting for him to turn things around because based on his education, on my education so far, the only job I'm going to be qualified is a cruddy middle school Latin teacher. Principal Bottoms has only been in charge for a few days, but he's already made some big changes. And any class that doesn't teach stuff that's on the standardized test has been cut. Which kind of stinks because we had just started the brownie baking unit in our home EC class. Things have gotten a lot more serious in the classes that weren't cut, like science. Mr. Rask isn't teaching about body smells and things like that anymore. But that doesn't mean the stuff we're learning isn't gross. Because this week he announced that we're starting a dissection unit on tapeworms. Luckily, there weren't enough tapeworms to go around, so me and my partner, Tyler Gary, had to work with some noodles from the cafeteria instead. And Tyler takes this science stuff pretty seriously, though, and you never think he was operating on leftover pasta. I guess maybe Tyler will grow up to be a surgeon one day, but I hope I don't end up on his operating table because I don't know exactly where he got his education. Greg Heffley? Yeah! Everybody thinks learning science is great, but they never talk about the flip side of things. I've seen a bunch of movies where a scientist loses their mind and tries to take over the world. But you never see any movies where the villain is a mad zookeeper or a mad gardener. So when it comes to science, I think the less you know, the better. Because I don't need to be the guy who messes around and accidentally opens up a portal to the demon realm. Scream.